Everybody's welcome. Peace and love. It's a Sebon podcast show. Bam, we're live.
Bam. We're live. Yo, what's up, guys? Good morning. Good to see everyone. Pumped for this morning show. Patrick Vellner coming in the house. Man, every show Pat does gets big numbers. Good dude. Jonathan, what's up? Oh, hello. We pre-chatting here? Pre-chatting. Sarah Cooper, hello, Ortega. Deja and Tendu. Morning, y'all. I watched the entire Kimberly Cheadle, like 5 hours. I watched it at like 1.5 speed. I took shitloads of notes and time codes. I'd love to do a show and go through that with you guys, if you guys want to do that. I think it'll be, there's some pretty interesting stuff in there. It was interesting. I did anyone here watch it and have sympathy for her? I started getting sympathetic for her. I did. She got grilled. Do you guys believe? Were you guys? What about that? You know, she keeps saying there's an investigation underway. Well, there were two things going on. There was a conflation between the two investigations, or minimum of two investigations going on, right? So on one hand, she's investigating what went wrong with her team, and then the FBI is investigating the assassination attempt, right? So they would ask her questions about both, but towards the end there, they were just railing her, basically saying, "Hey, you have information and you're withholding it." And she's like, basically like, "Yeah, I am withholding it from you, but it's information I got from the FBI, and you need to get it directly from the FBI." And I thought that was valid. I thought that was a valid. I thought that was valid. Pat Lang, what's up, dude? Good morning. She resigned earlier this morning. No shit. Wow. Someone said something really strong to her at the end. They said, "Hey, basically, none of the Congress people feel safe with you in charge anymore." And I guess if your job is to protect people and you don't feel safe, then you got to fire that person. Hi, Pat.
Hey, Sevon. How you doing?
Dude, I'm doing amazing. How are you?
Getting by, man.
That's the interesting setup. I haven't seen this one. I like the candle.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
I'm at my parents' house.
Oh, that is a parent's candle. That is a parent's candle. That's something my mom would have in her house too, with an unlit candle in it. I like
Probably
it.
had for a long, long time, you know?
Yes, yes.
But,
Hey, getting by because you're prepping for the games. Your wife is a physician. You're a chiropractor. You have 2 kids, and you moved all of your world's belongings and had to deal with real estate sales and purchases and a new home that was built all in the last 2 months.
it's been a condensed life in the last few months, for
Dude,
sure.
it's a lot. Just signing the paperwork on a new house is crazy. You see that stack of papers and you're like, "Oh, that'll ruin my month."
Yeah, so things have been hectic for sure. I feel like we're firing over here, you know? But yeah, that's kind of why. Getting by. I'm doing what I need to do to make everything, to keep everything afloat. And then you know, we are flailing a little bit, though. It's nice. That's why it's nice to have some family around and some people to help in the short term here. But it's been busy.
I singularly distilled all my issues with my kids down to one phenomenon.
Oh, let's hear it.
I'm in a rush.
Yeah, that's the constant conundrum, right? I think it would be amazing to just have unlimited time,
Right.
but there's always a pull, right? And
But do you see what I'm saying? Like, you get mad at your kids and then you can distill it down. Why am I mad? Well, because I'm trying to get to fucking over here and I can't get them to do to I don't have the
Yeah.
window of time to be patient. So at some point I'm raising my voice, I'm picking them up, I'm doing things that are because of time, because I'm all of a sudden in a rush.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is the world runs on time.
Right.
Right? Like, time is the one resource that is like we all need more of, and there's never enough of, right? So
Resource. I like the way you say that. Resource.
I think that time is what you're spending everywhere. And most of the time you feel like, yeah, you know, I'm rushing because I got to get the kids out the door because I have to get to work. Because if I don't get to work, I'm going to get fired. And now our whole
Right.
family's got a whole other problem. Like there are things that need to happen on a specific time. And I think that's why overall I'm grateful for the fact that we, you know, most of our life we've been able to build in a way that allows us to take time when we need it. You know, even my wife works hard and works a lot. She's on mat leave right now, but she kind of gets to make her own hours to a certain degree. And I'm kind of the same, and I can train. Things can get done when they need to get done. There's ideal windows for sure. But we have a little bit of flexibility, maybe more than the average family unit. So we're really lucky, but for sure, I feel the same way. And that's the problem is every day you're the last one that gets to eat, right? Like sometimes you're spending all the time and whatever, and then there's not enough time left for yourself to feel like you get to just, you know, recover a little bit and feel like you're
sit down.
You take a breath. Yeah.
Yeah.
The second you sit down, there's another thing. Another one of the kids is falling on their head and somebody's got to eat and someone's screaming. And it's like a bit of a constant circus. So we're getting used to that. I think we had to talk about it yesterday briefly, just because my parents live on a lake, and so we're here and we're kind of on holiday, except, you know, I'm training, and a lake holiday doesn't look the same when you've got two young kids. And like my brother's has young kids that are here, and so my wife's like, man, I remember when I used to come here and read my book on the deck. And it's not like that anymore, right? Like you're constantly separating two kids who've slapped each other, and you're trying to figure out when kids? Juggling nap times. So our youngest is 5 months, and my older one is just over 3. And my brother's kids are, I think they're basically, he has an older daughter that's like 4, 5. I should know, 5, I think. And then his son is like 6 weeks younger than our oldest. And then they have a new daughter who's about 6 weeks again younger than our youngest. So we're very close together. Kids. Yeah. And there's 2 like infants that are like between 3 and 5 months old. And then there's 2 toddlers that are about 3 years old. And then there's one that's a little bit older. So it's just, it's chaotic. Right?
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
You know, you're constantly trying to, I don't know, trying to service everybody's needs, and it's not easy. But that's the thing. You're right. Like then you just don't. The second you lay down, because you're like, oh, I get a second to catch my breath, then there's another bomb going off. And
any tension between the two families of how you guys are raising your kids? Any conflict there? That can sometimes be like, you can get along with another family great, and then you get kids in the mix, and you're like, ooh, I don't like the way that kid treats my kid.
I think everyone's style is a little bit different, even person to person, right? Like if it's not just within the couple, it's like whether it's mom or dad. And then it's not just the two of us, because it's also my parents, right? And then their style is a little bit different as well. So
right.
I would say that there's more difference between my parents and us versus like my family unit and my brother's family unit. I'd say we're closer. And I think that's like a stage of life thing too. Like, I don't think my parents have necessarily the same patience for like toddler meltdown, because they're so far removed from that. And when they were younger, I bet you it looked a little bit different. Although I don't know, parenting in that era has just been, it's the world changes, right? Like it's a little bit different raising a kid now than it was 30 years ago too. So I think that there's some of that for sure. And so every now and then you got to kind of look at each other like, hey, I'll parent my kid. Thank you. But also at the same time, you know, we're asking for the help. So you take whatever form the help comes in.
You know, Pat, when I had my first kid and my parents would do certain things to my kids, like my dad keeps cough drops in the car. You know, that's just an excuse for candy, like those Ricolas. And when I had my first kid, every time, and my dad comes over and spends the night once a week, and and when he's here, he just immerses himself in the kids. So with my first kid, when he would give them Ricolas, it used to make my blood boil. Like, why are you giving my kid sugar? You know, but at some point I realized that's their relationship with those two human beings, you know, my stepmom and my dad. And I'm going to just accept it. I'm not going to fight that, but that's not going to be my relationship. Like, I'm going to have distinct rules different than those rules. And did you ever go through that? Like, at first you're like, you're trying to get your parents to raise your kids the way you want them. And then afterwards you're like, wait a second, my kids are going to have that relationship with those two people, and it's just going to be different.
Yeah, I think we've been okay. I want to say we've been okay at recognizing that from the beginning, that it's just,
Even with the first kid,
when
good on you.
when
It's so much
go
better
down.
to chill.
Yeah, and I mean, my older brother had a kid many years before we did, so I think we kind of got to see it a little bit, and like, oh, this is what grandparent dynamics are like, and like, you hear about it from them or whatever, and everybody kind of knows that. Your kids go get spoiled at grandma and grandpa's place.
Yep.
We are very fortunate that, sounds like your dad was very good at engaging with the kids, and
both my mom and dad,
like,
they just ignore me and engage the kids the whole time.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, but we have very like healthy and active parents, which is great. So my parents are able to, and like I said, my folks live on the lake, so my dad is out in the water playing and throwing the kids in the afternoon and stuff, and we're really lucky to have that level of engagement as well, right? Like, that's, not everybody gets that, and so we're super fortunate to have people that are willing to be that level of involved, because it helps a ton, especially when you're at critical periods of your life, like where we've got tons of stuff going on, and it probably, I mean, we keep telling ourselves it will never be this busy again, and we somehow find a way to make it happen again. But I feel like we've been telling ourselves that for a couple of years now. But hopefully, once we get through this and the house is done and the kids are all settled in daycares and things like that, then we'll just be rolling again. But it's definitely hectic right now.
PFAA rep to the Sevon podcast. Pat is the best. We're so happy to have him on our athlete board.
Happy to be there.
I think that's some sort of joke.
I just typed it. That was me just typing it.
You're trolling yourself.
Yeah.
You were on Dave's podcast.
Yeah.
How was that dynamic with him? That was kind of a fun one to watch. Not kind of. That was a fun one.
Why do you find that?
Well, I didn't see it. I didn't see it this way until someone told me. He goes, that was just a tit for tat back and forth. That was just Dave and Pat in the playground, just pushing each other back and forth, just like a tit for tat. Did you get that? I didn't see that at first, and then I watched it a second time. I'm like, oh, I could see a little bit of that. They're having a little fun, a little like.
Yeah, I like Dave. Like, I think there's been.
You do like him. You do like him. You enjoy it.
I don't mind him.
Okay.
I think that I like.
That's different than liking him. That's different than liking him.
So I like Dave in like a one-on-one setting like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that, like, he's a guy doing his best, right? Mm-hmm. I think that the image he puts out sometimes in his fucking WWE persona, I don't have a lot of time for. But I think that the conversations I've had with him in private or like one-on-one settings have always been pretty reasonable. So that just felt a bit like I wasn't trying to be antagonistic in any way or like hugely overtly critical. Like, I think some people maybe expected me to like just come in there and like throw punches at Dave, and like I don't have any reason to do that. But I'm happy to challenge him a little bit, and I think that I enjoy challenging him a little bit, and I don't think a lot of people do that, particularly in the athlete community.
Well, he's being challenged all the time, but just not one-on-one, right? You know what I mean? I mean, the crowd's always like throwing tomatoes at him. But I think
that's
one-on-one,
easy to ignore, though, because that's like
you're right.
Internet comments. It's just like, I'm not going to read any of them, so I don't care at all about them. But I think that when you have someone who, you have some level of respect for, like giving you some back and forth, I think that there's just like something there. So I always like having conversations like that with Dave. I've done it a lot of times in the past. I think there's been a bit of a public persona that we like hate each other or something like that. But no, I think that I think both of us care about the sport a lot, obviously. And everybody wants to see things succeed. So when you see areas where you're like, hey, have you thought about this or I think it's useful conversation, and the way that everybody navigates that and deals with it or what the conversation looks like. Everybody's style is a little bit different. So I think at this point we have a little bit of fun with it, and I think we give meaningful feedback, and I hear what he says and he hears what I say, and then you do with it what you will. But I had fun chatting with Dave. I think it's fun. It kind of makes you realize how long you've been around too. There's parts of that conversation I was like, fuck, that's like 10 years ago, right? So, which is cool. I think it's, you don't realize sometimes how much of a relationship you build with someone kind of by accident. It's like it's not like I've spent a lot of, I probably have a conversation with Dave like once or twice a year, right? For the last 9 or 10 years. But over that time, it's like, there's a lot of shared experience in that. So you sit down to have like a 30-minute chat and you're like, oh man, actually, like we've got a lot of things that we've been through together kind of thing. And it's pretty cool. So yeah, I had a fun time chatting with him.
It's like the kid that you're in kindergarten with, and then 12 years later you're graduating as a senior from high school, and you've only talked to that kid like once a month every year for the last 12 years. But when you graduate, you're like, holy shit, this guy's like in my family. Like I know this guy better than I know some of my fucking family members. I've been going to school with this kid for 12 years. And even when you look back at it, it's been, I don't know how long it's been since I graduated from high school, but even when you look back at it, like those people played a significant role in your life. You saw them every day for 12 years.
Yeah, that's really good. Actually, really good analogy.
You know what I mean? Yeah. It's a trip. But you didn't know them. I mean, there was even kids you just went to high school with. Like you saw them every single day. They sat next to you in one class every single day, but you said fucking only 1,000 words to them in 4 years. But you feel close to them because you have all that shared experience. You were there when the teacher fucking shit his pants in English class.
Yeah, exactly.
I was in this taxi cab one time, Patrick, and it was like 3 a.m. Guy was taking me to an airport. It was in a lightning storm. I was in Kansas. I was leaving a film festival to go to an airport, and it was pouring rain, and the guy weighed 500 pounds. The guy was so fat. When someone's, and we were in a minivan, and when someone's so fat that they have to have the seat backed up all the way and the seat laying down? Have you ever seen that phenomenon? They have to lay the seat down.
I have, and the seat down.
Yeah, the seat's laid down all the way, so it takes the back seat, but they still sit upright because they're so big. Anyway, he goes, "Hey, I'm really sorry. I have to pull over and go to the bathroom." And he pulls over on the side of the freeway. We're already only doing 10 miles an hour on the freeway because it's raining so hard. And I'm back there with this girl who's the producer of the movie. And he pulls out a bottle and he goes, "I'm sorry, ma'am." And he pees in the bottle because he can't get out of the car. And at the time I was like, what the fuck? This is fucking wild. But in hindsight, I wouldn't change anything because it's the only taxi cab ride I remember in my entire life. You know what I mean? Like it stuck to me forever.
That's trucker style. That's like the way of the road.
Is Dave kind of like
rules?
Is Dave kind of like that too? Like as you've been this many years in the relationship, you wouldn't have it any other way. Like the frustrations or the jockeying or the tension, whatever you want to call it, has been an important part of the landscape that makes it memorable. Is there any component to that? I
don't think so.
No.
For me personally, no.
No.
I think some people might feel that way. I don't think it's an invalid feeling. For me personally, I don't think so. I think there's just in our sport, I think the storylines should be about the athletes competing against each other, the athletes, accomplishing these incredible feats or beating some of these tests or doing things we didn't think they could do, not about squabbling with the guy who's making the tests. I don't think that's a necessary component to it, I guess. Is just my general thought.
It hasn't added like value or memories as you look at it in hindsight.
Not really. Not for me. Like when I sit back and look at my body of work, it's not about like, the only example I could think of that maybe would fit into that box is at the 21 games when they did another interval workout and the athletes just like did the workout way faster than anybody thought. And like Tia and BK almost did it in one interval and they thought it would take 3 or 4. And that was kind of a fun, like, oh, it felt like the athletes like beating the test, like
Right.
breaking the test to a level that like they didn't think was possible.
Yeah.
I
thought that was
was
cool.
funny to watch Dave stand on the sidelines and like pull his hair out over it.
Yeah.
Be like, holy shit, I really missed on this one, which doesn't happen super often, to his credit, right? But
yeah, that did frustrate him. I thought it was awesome. I thought it allowed Tia to really
I agree.
showcase.
Like,
I
and that's
thought it
what I
was
mean. Like
awesome. He was
seeing the
pissed.
athletes like
He was
break
pissed.
the cap on
Yeah.
stuff, like
Yeah.
that's a testament to some of the athletes, and that's kind
Yeah.
of a fun. So I would prefer to look at it through that frame of like, hey, they created this thing, and they're like, oh, we'll make these time cutoffs, and then the athletes were just like swatted it away like it was nothing, and it's like, oh, these people are a little bit better than we thought of they would be even on Sunday. So I think that's cool, and it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with him. I think it was just funny to see his face when we walked off the field. So
he said in an interview that these interviews have, and I'm paraphrasing, but that he didn't realize that over the years there's been a me versus them mentality, and these interviews have revealed that to him and sort of broken that down a little bit. And so now what I'm hearing you say, and I've never heard an athlete say it, is the same thing, that there was a component of us versus him, that he was the taskmaster, and you guys beat him there.
Yeah, what's kind of interesting, and I didn't challenge him on this again. It wasn't the mood I was in, but I think he's cultivated that.
Right.
I think that's
the culture he set.
Yeah, the us versus them thing, like he made that.
Yeah,
like that's 100% in my opinion his creation, and now he's kind of like I feel like there's this different culture, and I think part of the difference is now a lot of one of the things he said that I actually agree with is in the past there were a few more touch points that CrossFit Games was more heavily involved in. Things like the invitational, like things like the open announcements, where he would be at and have a chance to be with the athletes in a less stressful, less formal setting. It's hard to, even for us, like when you go to the games and you're spending a lot of time with these athletes and people that I'm actually friends with, like you don't really say much of a civil word to a lot of them. And then you go to like the Rogue Invitational or Wadapalooza or somewhere, and you do a team of 3, and then you're having a blast and you get to know people a lot better because there's just a less pressure. So I think there used to be more places for him to actually get to know athletes.
Mm-hmm.
And then there stopped being those for whatever reason. But then he had the athletes that he knew well who were around in that era, and many of them have aged out. And now there's this new cohort that's come in, and there's only a few of us left that he has like a relationship with outside of being on the competition floor. And I think he started to feel that. He's like, holy shit, like I don't even really recognize most of these names or know any of them or anything about them. And he was feeling a little bit othered. So, and I think I think it's a good thing that he did. Right. And I think it's cool for him to recognize that and try to make an effort to remedy it. Right. But I think that's what it was.
Do you think he needs to know, like two of the big, the two of the funny things that really stood out that he's really not paying attention to placement was Emma Lawson. When he interviewed Emma Lawson, he was kind of like, holy shit, you're gonna be good. You're good. And then his thing with Alex Kazan, he didn't know Alex Kazan was, took 4th or 5th place in last year's games. Do you think that is a bad reflection on him or a good reflection? Or do you have any thoughts on that? Because everyone knows who Emma Lawson is, right? I mean, she's like with Mal gone, she's the second coming, right?
So what I think about that, like for me, is basically it means you're not paying enough attention to your own sport. Is that a good thing? I want to be clear. Is that a good thing? So I think it's a bad thing.
You do think it's personally. A bad thing? Okay.
And I asked him a little bit about that in the context of programming at the end of the interview, saying like, hey, he's been very candid about saying he doesn't watch other competitions to see anything about programming. He completely checks out and he only does his job around the games.
Yep.
So, and earlier in the interview, I had mentioned about how I try to follow some of what other athletes are doing throughout the year in competition, just to make sure I have a little bit of an eye on what the level is that you need to be performing certain movements or certain things, so that I know it's doing homework. It's so that I know when I see these guys or I see this style of event, how fast should I be doing 50 calories in a 10-minute workout? on a rower to be competitive for a top spot. Like you have to know those things. That to me, that's part of training. Like that's just doing your homework. And to see, it's a bit disheartening for me to see the guy who's programming all this stuff be so checked out about like, you know, if another competition is programming something and they make a mistake, it's part of your job to know that so you don't repeat the mistake at your competition. To me, also, that's just doing your homework. And if we're over here kind of doing everything we need to do, to me, the problem is if those mistakes come out, he's not the one who suffers. The athletes on the floor are the ones who suffer. So we're the ones who get the consequences, but he gets to just like kind of say, you know, I don't feel like paying attention most of the year. And he said, you know, I like to spend some time checking out and being involved with family and other things, which I get. But I think like it's part of your job. Like you kind of have to do your job, and we expect a certain level of your job. It's just like you expect us to do our job at a certain level.
Why do you think it's important? Why do you think it's important though that he knows who Emma Lawson is? Like for me,
I just think honest,
it was shocking, but I couldn't think of a reason why it was important.
It's not super important, but I think it's a symptom. It just shows that he's not paying attention.
Oh. Because he doesn't know her name.
Because he doesn't know anything about her.
Right.
She came into the games, won Rookie of the Year, and then the next year came second. Like she's had like a cumulative finish of the games of like third or fourth place out of 2 years. Like knowing her name isn't super important, but knowing that there's a new young female on the scene and this is her. And like you said, like she's great. Like she's
great.
She's great. Like I think that you should be peripherally aware of that. And if you're not, it just kind of to me means like, are you actually watching the competition or paying attention at all? And that's not like, again, it's not important to know the athletes' names necessarily or like everything about them, but it looks like a symptom of like that's the itch that tells you got an STI. It's like if you can't look at that girl and be like, oh, you're the girl who came second last year, at least it just to me means like, what do you want? Like, are you watching? Or
what's
are you
ST? What's STI mean?
It's the sexually transmitted infection.
Oh.
I was making a lewd analogy so that you would understand.
I appreciate it. I think in the States we call it.
I'm surprised you didn't.
I think I think I'm so old school. I think we call it STD.
Yeah. So you can't call it disease anymore.
Oh. I love Canada. Brandon S. Dana White keeps a close eye on all the other fight organizations. Absolutely not true. He was interviewed the day of the fight of the Jake Paul Mike Perry fight, and he had no fucking clue they were even fighting. But he does keep a close eye on the fighters. He does know the fighters. I will say that he's a huge fan of the. He's a huge fan of the sport.
Anyway, and again, I think that's how my brain works, and not everybody is the same. And that's like.
How about VD?
I
you
certainly
can't say
look at it
VD
like
either.
That.
You can't say VD either. Venereal disease. No disease.
I think the technical description of a disease is what's limiting that language now.
Oh, okay.
That's not a disease; it's an infection.
Oh, okay. Let me see.
And I couldn't tell you exactly why. I just know that's.
A disease is a disorder of structure or function in a human, animal, plant, especially one that has been known to cause and a distinctive group of symptoms. Oh, shit. I hate it when I don't even understand the definition. Okay. Anyway. I don't want to talk about venereal diseases and then accidentally get one.
Good plan.
Ryan Kendall, I've had a few sexually transmitted feelings. Oh. STF. That's good. Standy Randy, I used to think it was Dave acting like he doesn't know who these people are because that's how a lot of operators act, but now I'm not sure. Oh, meaning like it's not an act. He really doesn't know. I think he really didn't know.
I don't know. It could be that he's just kind of posturing a little bit.
He feels very comfortable not knowing. I never saw him like turn red or squirm.
Yeah, I don't know. And I guess, and like I said, that's maybe just a difference in how my brain works and what my style is. That would make me extremely uncomfortable if I was in his position. If I didn't know anything about.
Yeah, when I didn't know how to say Lazar's name
that I was organizing, like
yeah,
I'd feel silly. And so and you know, he doesn't, and that's great. As long as he keeps doing a pretty good job, that's great. But I think that the point always for me is like, is good enough, or should you be trying to be better at your job every time? And I think on our part, we're always trying to improve and push things forward. And so it's disheartening to see a blasé approach to like, we've made enough mistakes on our own. Like we got our hands full trying to fix our own errors, let alone trying to fix the problems that other competitions have. And it's like, man, if you keep making a new mistake every year though, and if you started paying attention to other events, maybe you would stop that. And then at least you'd stop the build of errors that you have to keep looking back on. Like start workshopping upstream problems so that you don't make mistakes. Like to me, that's like obvious. But anyway, I don't know. And again, I'm not trying to be overly critical. I think Dave does a good job programming the games. I think most years there's maybe one kind of bad error, but out of 12, 13, 14, 15 events, like with so many variables at play, like that's really good.
Yeah.
Like the games are like 95% good most years, which is great. Like that's a really good track record to have. So I think he does a really good job.
Sevi, do you think Pat's points are the reason why CF Media doesn't follow athletes or promote them during the season due to TDC's interest in them? No, zero connection. He is a huge proponent of mass media for the athletes. Huge. He's as frustrated as anyone. And the fact that he took matters into his own hand, I think if people knew the risks he takes to do things like that, I think people would be really surprised. I think what he's doing is no, not even close. The opposite. But good question, Anthony. Pat, I want to play you a little clip. This is from your interview with him. This got me really charged. This got me really charged up. I started a lot of negative rhetoric in my head about you, Pat, after I saw this. Okay, ready?
Let's hear it.
Here we go.
Yeah, let me think if I have anything easy. Why haven't you monetized your YouTube with these interviews?
That's a great question, actually. I don't think.
Why did you ask him that? Let me tell you where I went with it.
Sure.
And then you tell me, hey, God, you're a paranoid douche. I thought this fucking Canadian socialist doesn't want to let this guy fucking make 35 cents on a video. And he's trying to play gotcha with my boy Dave. I got really like you were trying to play gotcha with him. Like it would have been wrong that he monetized him.
It would have been.
It would have been?
Yeah, it would have been. I think his answer was exactly why I asked. And that's why I was like, that's a great answer.
Why would it have been wrong if he monetized him?
Because there's no CrossFit media, and none of the athletes are going to say no to Dave.
Right.
And he would be taking advantage of a position of power to create the only CrossFit media around the athletes. So anybody who wants to know anything about the athletes has to go through Dave's personal account. This was like part of the problem. But
that's not true. That last thing you said is not true.
What part?
There's tons of media. The two things that this is way outside the scope of his job. He doesn't have to be doing this.
I don't know if we know the scope of his job anymore, to be honest, but sure.
And there's tons of other media for athletes, right?
Yes, but so
not internally, but externally.
Yes. He's using his position to create media that nobody can say no to. And then it would just be, I think his answer was perfect. He actually nailed exactly what I was hoping he would say.
Right.
Which is terrific. It was a bit of a like, hey, did you think about doing this just to see? And his answer was exactly what I would have hoped and what I would expect a professional in his position to answer like. So that was a great, I think he was perfect. That was, I agree exactly with what he said. And that's exactly what I would hope anybody in his position would do and say.
Let's play. Okay, let's see.
And to be honest, I was delaying a little bit because I didn't have a good question yet. And then I was like, maybe if I can get him to talk a little bit, I could actually come up with a question. But
with that, I'm working for CrossFit, and then I'm using my access to you guys through CrossFit for my channel to monetize. So I'm not comfortable doing that. I think
like that answer.
Yeah, if I was doing that, that would be taking advantage of my position with CrossFit and you guys. And so that's why I very deliberately, and that's I'm glad you brought that up. I very deliberately am not doing that for exactly that.
Cool.
Yep.
Yeah, I thought I checked the other day just to see it. I was like, oh,
I just hate to see someone whole. I agree with all the points you're saying that it would be taking advantage and maybe it's not appropriate. But the other part of me is like he doesn't have to be doing it. And
Yeah, you know what I saw, Sevon, that I
Yeah.
actually thought was a cool comment from somebody was they said, "Oh, what he should have done is monetized it all, and then on the like Saturday morning of the games when we're doing Chad, like announce that they were donating all the proceeds from that to the like PTSD
shit.
Foundation or something." And I was like, "Oh, that would have been a really cool way to do it." But I just think
Right.
doing something like that for personal gain
Yeah.
when you work for the company and things is just a little bit icky. Like it's a weird gray area. So I think his answer was perfect, and that comment that I saw, I was like, that would have been really cool. Like had he monetized it, but then allocated the funds for something within CrossFit or within like one of those fundraising foundations, charitable donations, would have been a really, really cool move, a really cool way to do it. So like there's ways to do it for sure, but it's just, yeah, I just think it's when you're using your position within a company for personal gain outside of like the company's, like your scope, like you're saying, with what your job might be, it's weird gray area, and people can disagree with me if they want. But
do you appreciate the
that's how I
fact
feel.
that he's doing these?
I think it's good to do something. Like I think that, you know,
Yeah,
back in the day, you know, when I started and there was more CrossFit media,
yeah.
It was really helpful for especially new athletes to be highlighted, and I think that in the scheme of CrossFit land, like most of the livelihood of athletes is made through sponsorship and that kind of thing. So creating more visibility for athletes is a huge bonus. So I think it's really it's good to have more stuff out there. Like you would, I'm sure, agree, more media is always good, right?
Caller, go ahead.
I think it's good.
Oh wow, I am on the show. Hi. So I have a question.
Is this
I was
Yella?
thinking,
Is this Yella Hosta?
No, it is not.
Please pretend like you are.
It
Go
is
on.
not.
Okay, you sound like him. Go
Okay,
ahead.
so I just need to grow my jaw then.
Okay, yes,
Fine.
just grow your jaw larger. Hello, Yella. How are you? Welcome to the show.
Fine. So just a question. I was thinking about what you were saying about Castro and its connection with the athletes, and I was wondering, do you think maybe before it was more connected to the athletes? I'm just thinking that because when you take a look at the YouTube channel of CrossFit or CrossFit Games, there were back then a lot of videos, you know, of him, Froning and Bailey, like doing small, tiny competitions, like small friendly events that were linked to CrossFit directly. And maybe because CrossFit is not creating the bridge between him and the athletes, maybe that's why this connection is lacking nowadays. I don't know.
Yeah, great point. And the fact that so many athletes used to be on the level 1 team, and Dave was always with the level 1 team. There's all sorts of there were a ton of touch points. Great point between Dave and the athletes 10 years ago that don't exist today. And I think Pat was alluding to those too, more than alluding to them, pointing to them, like when he talked about the invitational. Yeah, for sure. Great point. And by the way, if your kids need someone to play with, bring them over to the lake house. Pat has 5 kids over there that need new friends. Is that a bird or a kid in the background?
At my house? It's a kid.
No, his. Oh, is that his house or your house?
There's some screaming going on in my house.
Oh, it's not yours. Okay. Do you have kids?
Me?
Hmm?
No, I don't.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. Very insightful.
Well, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye.
I think that point is great. I think the CrossFit used to just be smaller too, right? Like the network was a little bit smaller, so everybody was closer together. Like the same people were involved in every event, whereas now things are broader reaching, and it's harder to do that. Like it's harder to get all the top people or best athletes in one place with the game staff and things like that. It's a little bit harder to do. And even the level of like, you know, there's a lot of that. Oh, everybody at the games used to be on level 1 staff, but not like the games level has changed a little bit. And I think there's not as many people who can operate a gym and be on level 1 staff and do what it takes to compete at a high level at the games anymore, because the level is just higher. So that for sure, like that changes that dynamic a little bit. And it's not because I don't think it's necessarily because the athletes have no interest in being in staff or involved with CrossFit or whatever, but it's just that it's hard to, and it's a lot of these guys are like 22-year-old kids. Like it's a different landscape now because of how the sport has progressed and how the level has progressed. So it's just changed a little bit.
Interesting coming from you saying that the level has changed and it's harder to do those things when your life is just completely full. I mean, you juggle 3 balls and then and then keep adding balls, moving across the country, keep having kids, still work your job.
When you get
You,
good at
you
juggling
didn't give
three, you just
yourself the
add
memo.
another ball.
You didn't give yourself the memo, Pat.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think anything can feel normal. So when you get used to something, you just kind of keep trying to forge ahead. But I think it's busy. It's busy and everybody has a lot of things going on. And so I think it's not necessarily everyone's priorities because the level of commitment it takes to be an athlete now at the games at like a top 10 level is really, really, really high. And so I think there's less people that are like, and again, I think one of my points about people just being younger too, like a lot of the games athletes now that are really competitive are like in their early 20s, and they maybe just like, maybe in 5 years they'll own a gym, but right now they don't, or they haven't been around long enough to even be on seminar staff.
Right.
I feel like if you showed up to your level 3 seminar and there was like a 19-year-old kid teaching you, you'd be like, what the hell do you know?
Yeah. I had a Dallin on and I was like, hey, he was talking about how I was like, so are you going to hang with people at the games? And he said, yeah, I'll hang with people. And I said, so do you hang out with like Hopper and Sprague? And he goes, yeah, and Pat. And I go, oh, you made it into the Cool Boys Club. And I know it's kind of hard to break into. It can be hard to break into that. And he said, yeah, I forced it. And I go, what do you mean? He goes, I just knew that I wanted to be, I'm paraphrasing, but I wanted to be as good as him. So at Wadapalooza one year, I think it was at Wadapalooza, I just forced myself on him to hang out with him everywhere he went. I just forced myself. Do you remember? And so I go, so you're going to hang with him at the games? He goes, oh yeah. Oh yeah. Do you remember? Yeah. Do you remember Dallin working his way into? Because you know how you guys will cluster together. And to be fair, I'm using Cool Boys Club, but it's not really Cool Boys Club. It's just heats. The heats will hang out together. So
yeah,
obviously,
I think
since
that's
you
often
and Josh
what it is.
and Rich and Matt would be in the same heats, you guys would be waiting, in the warm up area together. So that becomes your cohort. But did you see Dallin do that? Do you remember him being like, you're like, hey, who's the fuck is this kid?
I remember that year for sure.
You do.
And I talked to him a bunch in the back and stuff. That was the 2022 Wadapalooza, I think. And I remember Dallin's like I joke he's like my son. He looks like he could be my son.
He totally does.
So I have to pass that on to him so that I can have a mini me competing for the next 10 years still. So, but I think there's also, like, to his credit, you don't just walk into the room and belong. Like, he's super competitive. And again, your point's exactly right. Like, he was competing in the lane next to me for like 2 of those days. So you're just spending a lot of time standing next to each other, chatting. And he's focused and driven, right? Like, I think you recognize that in people. And I think especially when you're young in the sport, like, seeking out people that you can see that in, and try to suck some knowledge off of some people is not a bad thing. So I think he's put himself in the right rooms and done the right things in the last few years to get as good as he can be. And he's going to be awesome this year. I think he's looking really, really good.
Yeah, he made a concerted effort to be close to you because obviously you're as great as you are at the sport, and he made it happen. I thought it was fucking smart.
Yeah, I think that same year too, I spent a lot of time with Hopper. Like, he was staying in the same hotel as me, and we were like ride sharing. And those guys they're not idiots. They seem like it sometimes, but they know what they're doing, and they're pretty committed. So it's gonna be exciting to watch them compete for the next long time.
A lot of the athletes stay at Airbnbs, but I see in the past, when I think of you, I always think of you as a 2 hotel room guy. That you stay in a hotel room and you usually have 2 rooms, like one for you and then one for the wife and kids with an adjoining door. What's the plan this year? Athlete hotel or Airbnb?
We're at a hotel. You know what happened this year? We before the games dates got announced, when they announced Fort Worth, we looked, and my wife booked Airbnbs. She booked a couple And then the dates for the games were shifted this year by a week. So we didn't. Then they announced the dates, and we were just like, it's they got to be the same weekend as every year, and realized it like a couple months later that the dates were we had booked the wrong dates for Airbnb, so we had to cancel our Airbnb, and then there wasn't much left at that point, so we ended up switching to a hotel and got like I think this year we got a suite that had like 2 separate rooms, so we can separate from the infant a little bit. And then we have a bunch of people coming from the island who are coming to watch from my gym that I was at, so they're all in that same hotel too, so it'll be fun to kind of have a crew.
Is it
So
the
that's
athlete
just-
hotel?
It's not.
It's
They
not.
didn't announce the athlete hotel until like really recently.
And so you'll bring your entire family, your wife and your kids.
My oldest son's not coming. He's going back east. My wife's going back east for a wedding and bringing him and dropping him off at home, and then she's gonna come back out with the new guy.
Oh, that's cool. And you know, most people I'd be like, oh shit, but this has been your life for the last 5 years, 3 years.
Yeah, I've done okay with it. My wife said she helps out a lot for sure. She's especially like leading up to the games and at the games. She's taking care of the baby so that I don't have to be up in the night as much and things like that. And she's doing everything she can. She's breaking her back to make me successful, make the team successful. So it's been I'm pretty lucky. But
in 2 minutes. In 2 minutes, when this is over, will you? What happens? Do you just go in your room and lay down, or do you just get up immediately and she hands you a baby?
When like the games is over?
No, this interview. Like what?
Oh,
When you get up from here, will you just just insert into the mix?
probably. Well, I got to leave into town probably to. I made breakfast for Owen before I came in here, and the other kids weren't up yet. But I watched them walk in, and then things got a bit chaotic there for a bit. And probably what'll happen is I'll go in. I'll try to help for a little bit, pack the car. I got to go into town to train, and then Michelle's cousins are coming today to spend the day at the lake. So I got to try to get through things as fast as I can so I can come home and play some help manage the kids and the chaos a little bit. But going to town to train with a friend.
Do you get to do anything? Do you get to sit in the lawn chair and drink a beer, or no? Those days it's too close to the games.
With the evenings are kind of nice. We like when the kids go down at 8 p.m. or so, we can go watch the sunset and sit down on the dock. It's a little quieter, but usually our downtime is now spent thinking about, we're trying to sort out daycares and make decisions about our house and things like that. So usually there's a little bit of work time in the evening, but then
even while you're on vacation at the lake house.
Yeah.
Damn. All right, Patrick, I'll see you soon, buddy. I really appreciate you coming on. They're always huge shows when you come on. People are crazy stimulated. Everyone loves seeing you on podcasts. So I really appreciate you. Always make great time, great guests. Thanks, dude.
It's my pleasure, man. I'll see you in a few weeks, I guess.
Yes, sir.
Let me go get myself back into this chaos.
Okay. Oh, wait, hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second. Caller, hi. Did you want to say something to Mr. Vellner? Hello, caller.
Hello, caller.
Hey, do you want to say something to Patrick?
Yeah, I had a quick question for both you guys on the day. Do you feel like you guys have known him for so long that this interview is kind of a way to reconnect with the athletes? Because obviously with the old, he had, deep embedded connections just from building the foundation of the sport, and felt like he lost that a little bit with this new generation coming in.
Go ahead, Patrick.
That's what he said in the interview with me, for sure. I think there's some of that. I think you don't want to feel like a stranger in your own house. And that's probably a little bit of what he's doing. Sevon, you have anything to add?
I think he's doing. I want to know really why I think he's doing it. I don't know if I can tell you the real reason. Damn, where's my Patrick Vellner card? Pat, do you have a mint trading card?
For a pack of gum or something.
Pat, you have a mint trading card, right? I used to have it up.
What do the other ones look like?
Here's this beautiful one of me. Hey, here's what I think. I think that Dave is so frustrated with the fact that there's not more media around the games that he's gone way above and beyond and put himself into a really uncomfortable situation and started interviewing people to get media out there. I think he's just leading from the front. I think that's all it is. I don't think there's anything else. I think the byproduct of him actually starting to like Pat instead of wanting to throw a noose over a tree is a byproduct of all the interviews. I don't think that was his intention. That's what's so fascinating to me. I can see him. I know Dave so well, and I can see him starting to like the athletes and process it. And he's even said that a few times, like, holy shit, he's realizing stuff. But I think that's just a byproduct of him just being like, fuck this, I'm going to do media.
He's a lead from the front kind of guy.
Yeah, he's had enough. Like, the fact that he started this on a Saturday on a whim means that he just, he's just going above and beyond.
I think it's good too. I think it allows him to see more of a human side of the athletes, which is probably not a bad thing.
Yes, I agree. I totally
instead of
agree.
seeing us as just like lambs he can take to slaughter.
Yes, and that is what happened. I don't think that that's a gross exaggeration.
Yeah, whether he meant to or not, it's definitely happened, I think.
Yeah. All right, caller, thank you.
His heart grew 4 sizes.
Thank you, guys.
Caller, by you calling Pat, you know what? Pat had this thought. He probably won't share it, but he's like, holy shit, this is like really turning into like a real podcast. This is like a sports show. You made Pat like the show even more.
I do what I can. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you later.
Patty V, get your mint trading card, the Patty V version.
Nice. Good event.
Top seller. Event. Top seller if you can get your hands on one. Bring them to the game. Buy one now at Mint Trading Cards, and then bring it to the games and ask Pat to sign it. Pat is a real dick at the games, everyone. He doesn't want to talk to anybody.
Yeah. Depends how I do on the event right before.
That's absolutely not true. Pat is the easiest of all the athletes. Very generous with his time. Approach Pat. All right. Thanks, dude.
All right. I'll see you later, buddy.
Thanks, brother. You know, Pat deserves more credit too. He's probably rolling his eyes every time I say Dave's going above and beyond, because Pat always does podcasts. Like, he's so easy to schedule, and he always comes on, and he's a huge needle mover. This is a good card. Let me see what it says on the back here. Patrick Vellner first qualified for the CrossFit Games in 2016 and has qualified every year since. In the 4 years, there has been a traditional format. He has taken second twice and third twice. Many consider him the fittest man who has yet to win the CrossFit Games. In addition to being one of the fittest men on earth, he is a doctor of chiropractic, a husband to a wife, Michelle, and father to their new son, Owen. 5'11", 195. Coach Michelle Latondra, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, cool card. 2022 edition. Oh, Wad Zombie says Will Brandstetter designed that card. Yeah, anyway, go. You can head over to Mint Trading Cards. And the cards have been kind of like modernized. They're starting to look like better and better. Let me see if I have a new one. I just got some new. Oh, like, look at, here's a they've really hit the bottom of the barrel, doing people like James Sprague and me and Bill Grunler. But here I think this is a newer one, a James Sprague. If you're just into hot chicks, there's a Christine Kohlenbrander. Or if you're smart, because eventually you know there's going to be a new Dallin Pepper card, and he is going to win the game. So if you're smart, you'll just go buy the Dallin Pepper one. Like that. I mean, and he looks like an angel in this. Get this one now, because eventually this one won't be around. After he wins the games, I'm sure there'll be a new one. And you won't be able to get this one. Dallin Pepper, the 3-time CrossFit game. But you know what's crazy is, anyway, never mind. It's going to tell you guys how smart I am. There was a question. How does Seven feel about DBE Daniel Brandon Energy doing almost an hour interview with the TDC? Well, no, I didn't watch it. It just came out yesterday, right? You know what I do on Friday morning before the CrossFit Games update show? I usually just go sit on the assault bike. Although lately I've been a little concerned because of this foot issue I'm having. Like, it's got to go away before the games happen. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's what's it called? a thing I might have. But anyway, I usually will just get on the assault bike and go to Dave's channel and hit play, and there'll be no logic, rhyme, or reason to how I watch them. I just let the algorithm feed them to me. So whether it's Shelby Neal or Danielle Brandon, but if I saw Danielle Brandon's and it was an hour, I'd probably like watch it on 1.5 time. Foot AIDS, no. Vagititis, no. That's not what I have. Oh, plantar fasciitis. Thank you. Yeah. Plantar fasciitis. Clock, it's called old age. I feel a tiny bit bad for Danielle. Like just a tiny bit. Bad's not the right word. I don't know what the word is, but it's a relative to bad. Her, Laura, anyone who doesn't get to play in the Sevon podcast universe, call me arrogant. I feel a little bad for them because I know it's so fun in here, and there's like great opportunity in here. Like I was looking yesterday, and the podcast in the last 365 days has 1 million more views on YouTube and 1 million more views on podcast, outlets. So it has 2 million more views in the last 365 days than it had in the previous 365 days. And it gets as many views certain months that the CrossFit YouTube station gets in a whole year. I just think it's sad. Like it's such a fun. I play all day here. Yeah, it's such a cool spot. And so I just feel, part of me feels like whatever they, like you can, there's room for everyone to like stake their ground in here. It's not just because I'm personally not woke doesn't mean there's not room for woke people. Not that Danielle's woke. I'm not suggesting that at all. I'm just using like some sort of like if you think black people are less than white people and you want to come project that on here, you can do that. Even though that's not my feeling, you can come over here and state your opinions on that. Or if you think that I don't think Pat and I line. I'm like, I think Dave's fucking should be knighted for what he's done. I can't even fucking believe how good he is. I think he's fucking amazing. And I disagree with Pat wholeheartedly about the games being just about the athletes. Like, God, man, Dana White's so awesome for the UFC. Dave's so awesome for CrossFit, in my opinion. But I'm more than happy to have. I like him having that opinion here only adds to the value of the whole. To say that opinion out loud and on the show only adds to the whole value of everything that's going on in the space. Like without tension, there's nothing. Zero. Greg Seed, you'll take her back anytime she can play if she decides to. Correct. Maybe she sees there's no value after this has been so long. Yeah, maybe. And maybe there's no value for anyone. I wasn't suggesting there's value, even though I think that there is. But it's just that it's fun. It's just a good spot to be. It's a good group. You got people like David Whedon here. When is Dave coming on the show? I've been asking him a lot. He doesn't say no. It's probably just a scheduling thing. I know. I'm sure that there's so much shit going on at the ranch right now with testing. And that's another thing. There's so much testing that goes on. So when Pat says he thinks Dave could learn from other events, there might be some truth to that, but God damn, the testing is wild. Sevi, are you going to get Danny on the show in 2025? You know, I go through phases where I really want to have Danny on, and then I go through phases where maybe want her on isn't the right word. Where I think it'd be really cool if she came on, and then I go through phases where I don't know. I'd love that. You know who I'd like to have? I guess I'd like to have everyone. I'd like to have T on. I'd like to have Danny on. I'd like to have Justin on. I'd like to have Mr. Adler on. Oh, you know who I'm going to have on? I think I got her phone number is Perrin, the Asian girl over at Training Think Tank. I need to text her today and get her scheduled. I really want to have her on. I would like to have Travis Mayer on. Who else do I want to have on? There was some coach I was thinking about the other day that I'd like to have on. Who was I thinking about having on? Or was some athlete who didn't make it? Oh, I'd like to have Colton on. Colton pops in my head every day. Can you get Christy or Ramo on? I don't even think she's ever been on this show. Oh, I don't know. That's the thing. Laura Horvat, I don't know now. Yeah, I'd like to have her on. I'd definitely like to have her brother on, Christoph. I haven't had Luca on. I need to get Luca on. I know I need to get Luca on. He's cool. Pat saying it's about the athletes when Dave does way more for the community than any active athlete. Yeah, that's true. I know in my mind he's a god. He's just killing it. Tudor Asian coach seemed like a douche in the behind the scenes. Anyone else think that? He was that guy's really intense. And I think he was just feeling very defensive for Tudor. I think that's what it was. I don't know him. What's his name? Ed Mao. I know he was intense even for me. Like even though he was nice to me, I always felt like maybe he could punch me in the face. He's super intense. He's super duper intense. And I only have that one data point. I can't imagine he's always like that. But that was a really tense moment. And he's like he clearly loves Tudor to death. Sevon, try our Uplift Challenge this month, programmed by Brandon Luckett. Where is it? I honestly doubt I can try any challenge. If I told you the workout I did yesterday, Uplift is it's a furniture store. Uplift organization, taking care and compassion. Oh yeah, I don't even know what this is. Is this your organization? Is it homeless people? I don't know if I can do homeless people. Even though I really like your shirt. Well, Mark. 3 minutes work, 2 minute rest, 4 sets, 30 wall ball shots. Okay, I probably have to I'll do thrusters. 20 toes to bar, max cal on. Oh, that is actually a great workout. Okay, I'll do that. 3 on, 2 off. 30, I'll say thrusters with 45-pound bar. Maybe I should use 35-pound bar so I can make sure I do them unbroken. 20 toes to bar. I like toes to bar. Max cal on bikes. I don't even know if I make it to the bike. The first round, I'll probably do the thrusters. I guess I could push hard. Try to do them all. Can I do all those thrusters in 30 thrusters? No, I won't make it to the bike. I definitely won't make it to the bike. My toes to bar are so slow. So slow. Do it all unbroken. I don't know if I can do 20 toes to bar unbroken. I got something so fucking embarrassing to tell you guys. I actually told Dave this the other day. I'm like, dude, I have something so embarrassing to tell you. So there's this girl who has my old job over at CrossFit named Jenna Haka. And I've chatted with her a couple times and she's really cool. I really like her, actually. It sucks how much I like her. And I heard when I met her, she said she did, I want to say she did 285 for 10 deadlifts. Someone had said that. And I don't know if I've ever done 285 for 10 in my entire life. So, but I'd like to be able to do that. Like, and she was sweet when I said something to her. She, you know, in the friendly CrossFit way, she let me know whatever she did. And that's what I remember. She kind of rubbed it in my face, but it was funny. It was cool the way she did it. This was at West Coast Classic. They invited me into the CrossFit box just to shoot the shit with her. And it's been kind of festering. Like, I'd like to be able to tell her I did 286 for 10 at the games. So I, and I probably, as a healthy, if I was like a healthy young man, I probably, like, my weight should be like 150 and I walk around at 170. So so the other day I put 235 on the, I warmed up a little bit. I was sweating. And then I put 235 on the bar and I did it for 10. And it was easy, but that's not the embarrassing part. This is crazy. I would shit my spine out if I tried it now. I don't know. Maybe I could do it. But there's a crazy problem. Does anyone know what it is? And I told Dave and he goes, that is embarrassing. Does anyone know what it is? When I did the 235 by 10, then I said, but this happened, Dave. And it was fucking crazy. I don't ever remember this happening to me anywhere in my CrossFit career, ever. But it happened. Chris Kettler, Sevi, I'll throw on one of those fake noses and glasses and masks and rock some long johns and pull 300 for 10 for you. That's awesome. Please do it. No, I didn't shit my pants. Great guess. Great guess. No. It's worse than that. It's worse than that. It's so fucking bad. Ready? Does anyone want to guess? What happens when you do deadlifts, heavy deadlifts? Nope, didn't pass out. I felt great. Nope, I did not ejaculate. I did not pass out. I did not shit my pants. It's so bad. I had no jizzing. Projectile vomit. Nope. Everything was great. I'm telling you. I just did pull 235 like it was my trabajo. A bloody nose. No, that would have been awesome. Threw your back out. Nope. Fair, great question. Not even sore the next day. A hemorrhoid. Nope. These are great. Great. Farted. Nope. Great. Gave yourself a hemorrhoid. Nope. These are all fantastic questions. Look at that. Look at Madison. Look at her kids are visiting her in prison. Look at that prison outfit she has on. What'd you do to go to jail? That's really cool that your kids visit you in jail. Ripped your shirt off and yelled? Nope. Okay, you ready? My grip started giving out. With 235 for 10, my fucking grip started giving out. And I told Dave, he's like, yeah, dude, that is embarrassing. I couldn't fucking believe it. I've never had my grip give out. Cout, you realize you're a woman. Yeah. Yes. Hook grip, you fool. Hey, dude, I think I was using hook grip. I use hook grip for fucking everything. It didn't fall out of my hands. I think I could have done 2 more, but that was my limiting factor. Like, I felt like I could have done 20. No, I don't need. Do I have midget digits? I don't know. I don't think people like shake my hand and they're like, hey, he has a tiny hand. I mean, I have small hands, but they're not like, my hands are way smaller than Colton's, by the way. Colton has big fucking hands. I hung out with him the other day, went out to dinner with him and my kids, and I was watching him hold his fork and I was like, what the fuck? And I'm like, put your hand up. And we put our hands up and his hand's like that compared to mine. I just trimmed my pinky nail. What are you talking about? I just trimmed him shorter. No, I don't use mixed grip. I don't. Those hands look tiny. Really? Let me hold something. Maybe I do have tiny hands, and maybe they're so small. That's what like no one can tell me they're small. You know what I mean? Like if you're like your shit's so weird that no one's ever told you. Maybe I don't know. This is a thick cup. Maybe I have a small penis, and I just think my penis is big because my hands are small. You could be unraveling my whole identity. That's racist, Sevi. What's wrong with mix script? I was just told not to mix from a young age. I was told not to mix. Yeah, I don't know. Part of just in the culture that I was of CrossFit in the day, you were never supposed to. You were supposed to. You actually, to be honest with you too, Jeffrey, I was told never to hook grip a deadlift too. But I hook grip when you put your go like this, right? Yeah, I do that. Yeah, that's a concern too. My biceps are pretty sore from it, like just right in the vag area, in the cracola. Yes. Philip Kelly, yes. Correct. Correct. He has the same analysis as I do. I should have asked Pat what he thought about Trudeau. Let me see. DNA. Did we ever find out what Uplift is? Did anyone ever tell me what it is or what the website is? Can someone put the Oh, I want to see the DNA for addiction. So, I'm super excited about this. This is like basically piggybacking off of the Kill Taylor show. I want to start another series, and I told you guys about this thing you could get, DNA for addiction, and Sarah sent one out to Taylor, and now he's going to take it and send back the test, the swab, and then I'm going to have Taylor and Bob on, and then Bob's going to read his results. Oh, suicide awareness. Okay. Uplift WADs are for autism? For suicide. Okay. So this is going to be cool. So Taylor's going to be like the pilot episode. And then I want any athletes who want to do it. If I think you're cool, I want to have them on. I wonder how if their Instagram DNA for addiction. And then run the shows on their Oh, do they have an Instagram account? DNA. Oh, there it is. Oh, look, Flea got a test from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Yeah, so wouldn't it be cool to have Flea on when he gets his test back? Wouldn't that be dope? Bam. I wonder, I should ask Sarah if he got his did Flea get his results? Oi. I haven't seen this yet.
I know yesterday's news was surprising and it was hard for you to hear, but it was the right thing to do. I know it's hard because you poured your heart and soul into me.
Okay, let's just go on old 11 Labs and see if that's really all they probably used for this. So upload. There we go. And let's see what we got. Yeah, looks like they didn't even really try.
Holy shit, is that true? Is that fucking true? Basically, this post is saying that the Joe Biden saying that he's pulling out of the race is a fucking AI voice. White House gets caught using popular AI voice cloning tool. No shit.
I know yesterday's news was surprising and it was hard for you to hear, but it was the right thing to do. I know it's hard because you poured your heart and soul into me.
Okay, let's just go on old 11 Labs and see if that's really all they probably used for this. So upload. There we go. And let's see what we got.
98%
Yeah, looks like
likely.
they didn't even really try.
Probability is very likely that the audio was generated with 11 Lab. Wow. Biden's dead? No, he's going to the White House today. I heard yesterday. He's coming to the White House today. Jake Chapman, it's the internet. Of course it's true. What the fuck is going on? How do I exit that? This will not age well. Can't flub like he did on that recording. If this was... Did Patty V vote for Trudeau? I don't know. Probability 2%, very unlikely this audio was generated with... Oh. Someone else ran it and it says probability 2%. It's very unlikely this audio was generated with 11 Labs or the audio was manipulated. Okay. So here's another post. All right, so we don't know. We don't know shit. Jake's facetiousness is true. So we don't know. Yeah, I saw someone said Cheadle resigned today. That's wild. Cheadle resigns. Let me see if I... Secret Service director resigns after Trump assassination attempt 1 hour ago. Yeah, I mean, they basically said to her yesterday that no one in Congress has faith and they feel all vulnerable. And you know what sucks? You know what really sucks? It probably means we're going to get less information. Damn. Damn. That's all that means. We're going to get less information. It's crazy. In that 5 hours, they really let her off the hook yesterday in the sense that they could have really blasted her for the slope roof thing. Do you remember how she said they didn't put agents on the slope roof? And a lot of people touched on it, but they didn't blast her for it. Like some people, one guy called her a DEI horror. By the way, there are some really fucking crazy, I don't know if they're representatives or congresswomen, but there are some really fucking crazy congresswomen. There are some and there's some crazy men too. But it seemed like the majority of the women on the left go straight to just screaming. They just yell racism while they hate on white men. It's crazy. Not DEI horror. I think he called her a DEI horror, like with an H. He said, and Cheeto, you are a complete DEI horror. I think that's what he said. Wild. It's crazy how they scream racism. The thing is this, the whole entire hearing, the Republicans were trying to talk to her about her job, and then 90% of the liberals were just talking about restrictions on the AR-15. Like they turned it into a completely political event to try to pass more gun laws, blaming the guns. And what's weird is when you blame the gun, and then one lady blamed a black woman from the left blamed a white man for the fall of Donald Trump's Secret Service, which I thought was a trip. She basically said the majority of the Secret Service is white men, as a point to like why they fucked up. Damn, why didn't anyone tell me I had a booger in there? No, not horror, Didn't call her DEI horror. Like, let me see if I can find the clip. Horror with an H, HORROR. DEI horror. Let me see if he. Oh, maybe he didn't use that word. DEI. Cheeto. Videos. Yeah, this lady. God, there were some fucking psychopaths doing some of the questioning. The guy Raskin, who's dying of cancer, is fucking nuts. I can't find the. I don't see the guy who called it. I think it was Jasmine Crockett who blamed white men. What she's doing is it was obvious that the women who were protecting Trump did not do a good a job as the men, if you wanted to break it down into that category. And so she was feeling defensive. So instead of her saying, you're right, the women weren't adequately equipped or did not appear to do a good job protecting Trump, not as good a job as the men, she immediately just started attacking white men. She turned it into a race thing, and she turned it into a sex thing, like right away, even though no one was like, hey, the black guys did horrible at the Trump rally. Like there was nothing like that. But what's crazy is this. One of the other guys, McConnell, liberal, and all the liberal men are feminine, like crazy feminine, like just weak. That's the only job they could have. You know what I mean? Like not, and the conservatives, not all of them, but a lot of them look like they could be your high school wrestling coach. And Conley goes off about how dangerous the AR-15 is and how it needs to be banned. And the example he gives is that someone attacked him in his office in the Capitol building, but with a baseball bat. So his whole argument falls apart because one of his staffers was beat with a baseball bat in his office, and yet his whole premise is that you need to outlaw the AR-15. And you know what else is crazy about that? When you start doing that stuff and you start categorizing stuff, you open yourself up to all sorts of crazy categorizations. And what's crazy is that there's all these fucking black politicians who and I point them out as black liberal politicians who run on the fact that these guns kill so many people, and yet those aren't the guns killing their people. And that cohort of black males, that 6%, is responsible for 50% of the murders in the United States against other black men. And so when they start categorizing that stuff like that, I start going like, aren't you concerned at some point that they're going to use that against you? Like someone's going to have the balls to use that against you? And why don't you make laws against that? Why don't you find out a way? If you're really concerned, why are you trying to outlaw the guns that 20-year-old young teenage white psychopaths carry versus the one that's responsible for 50% of the deaths in your community? Why aren't you trying to address that problem? It's always fucking mind-boggling to me. And on one hand, they're against profiling, but they want greater profiling for purchasing of guns. I wonder what they would say to that. I wonder if they're like, okay, we're going to make it so black men can't have guns in the United States, and 50% of murders will go away. Why don't they do that? Because it would be fucking insane to do that, and because it wouldn't work. But it's using their logic. It's completely using their logic. They're racist when it's convenient, which is like their whole shtick. They're racist when it's convenient. Those guns are the white man's fault for getting into the hood. Anyway, it sucked. It sucked that the issues were conflated, that they turned it into a AR-15. That's all the liberals talked about. That was like 90% of what they talked about. Shit, I got all wound up. Now I need a gummy. Oh, yeah, of course you can. My wife just, yeah, yes. Yes. Is anybody, my power went out at my house again yesterday and my generator went on. That's pretty, you don't know how happy I am about that. I have denied gun sales to white dudes and black dudes, both based on the way they look. Yeah. God damn, there was a crazy question from this woman, this fucking libtard woman asked Kimberly. She's like, do you give your officers bias training? And do you know what probably bias training is? Bias training is probably like, hey, you can't look at black guys or Asian guys or young people or old people and discriminate against them. I bet you 100% that that's what it is. But you're telling me that you want to sell a machine gun? You don't think there should be a second layer of questioning if someone comes in to get a fucking machine gun that has their hair dyed purple, looks like they do meth and has long hair and their nails polished, but it's a guy? You don't think there should be a second level of screening for that? You don't think, and that's a white guy. Let me do a black guy. You don't think there should be a screening if 6 fucking black dudes come in and they have their pants pulled down so you can see their butt hanging out, and all they do is talk in slang? You don't think there should be any like some discernment? Like, yep. Fuck, man. We are just treating ourselves like complete fucking idiots. And hey, I don't even know, like, to be honest with you, maybe it's a completely moot conversation, because maybe there's a stat that shows none of those people are the ones buying the guns either. Like, I don't think the blue-haired fucking white guy who's taking estrogen and growing tits, who's a fucking serial killer, is going to the store to buy his guns. I think he's getting his guns from somewhere else. So there's that. You think Hitler's stash is a popular correlate to shooter? I don't know. I think you're trying to make a point, but I don't get it. All I'm saying is that you shouldn't be able to rule out discernment. Like, it's a fucking gun. And hey, if you get turned down somewhere, try somewhere else, or wait the time and try again later. In California, I don't think it's hard to buy a gun. I think you just go in, you take the test, and you buy the gun. Uh, 4473. What is a 44? Let me see. A General ATF 4473. Oh, okay. Here it is. Here's the form. Must be completed or total number of firearms to be transferred. This is to transfer a gun. Oh, here are the questions they ask you. Are you actually a transferee? Do you intend to sell, otherwise, or dispose of firearms? Are you under indictment or information in any court for a felony or for a crime that a judge could imprison you? Have you ever been convicted in any court? Are you an unlawful user or addicted to marijuana or any depressant, stimulant, narcotic, drug, or any other controlled substance? Have you ever been adjudicated as mentally defective? Wow, what you can be adjudicated as that's a diagnosis, mentally defective. That's awesome. Or have been committed to a mental institution. Have you ever been discharged from the armed forces? Are you subject to a court order, including military protection order? Have you ever been convicted in any court of a misdemeanor crime or domestic violence? I don't even know what a misdemeanor is. Have you ever renounced your United States citizenship? Are you an alien, illegal, or unlawfully? Are you an alien who has been admitted to the United States under non-immigrant visa? Do you intend to sell or dispose? Seems pretty straightforward. Yeah, define addict. That's a good question. Like if you drink, if you have coffee every single day, I would say you're probably an addict. I just bought a gun online. Oh, I'm purposely not bringing up your post. Just because. I mean, nothing against you, but no reason to have your name up. Kamala. You guys will be happy to know George Clooney has endorsed Kamala. Hey, this guy was on the show. I don't know if you guys remember this. This guy, Eli Crane. I think he gave me this. Do you guys remember when he was on the show? He gave me this. This is like a bottle opener bullet. He went and visited the site. This is him on the roof. Here we go.
I'm up here on the building where the supposed sniper took his shot.
Supposedly sniper took his shot. This is the Eli ran for office and won, it appears, and he's also a former Navy SEAL. I'm on the roof of the building in Butler, Pennsylvania, where shots were fired in an attempt to assassinate President Trump. As a former Navy SEAL sniper, it was clear to me that many security measures were dropped, making President Trump extremely vulnerable. Many questions still remain.
It's not that steep at all. Just had a 70-year-old man back here climb up on the roof easily. See that water tower behind me?
I do see that water tower behind you. I do, my friend. I do see the water tower.
Had Secret Service or anybody had sniper teams up there, this guy wouldn't have made it 5 feet up this roof. He would have been taken out. Behind me, you see the windows that Secret Service was supposedly in the second floor of this building behind.
So Secret Service from that window could see the fucking sniper crawling up the backside of that roof? That doesn't even fucking make sense. You guys see, he basically, what I'm just assuming this, that Eli's standing where the bad guy was, right? That kid, the tranny kid. and behind him where that window's open, supposedly there were Secret Service. This is fucking nuts.
Makes you wonder why they weren't able to quickly dispatch the individual. And then behind me, back over here where those red roofs are, that's where the stage was set up. That's where the president was giving his speech from. A lot of
People, there's no tree between. Oh,
questions here in
there's no tree between the sniper and Trump.
Butler. But we look forward to doing oversight and getting to the bottom of it.
Oh, I see. See that tree to the left right there, just right hanging on the side. I think that tree may have been between the sniper and the dude on the roof, which means he was on the wrong roof.
Make sure it never happens again.
By the counter sniper.
All right, guys, I'm up here on the building.
See that tree right there? So that tree, they're claiming that tree was blocking the view from the counter snipers to the bad guy. If you assume Eli's standing where the bad guy was,
where the supposed sniper took his shot. It's not that steep at all. Just had a 70-year-old man back here climb up.
Crazy. I don't know whether you agree with him or you are contradicting everything he is saying. I have no idea what the fuck you're saying. Are you saying this guy is talking bullshit? Are you talking to me? Oh, hold on one second. Hey. Let me catch up on these comments. I feel like there would be some blood or something on the roof to confirm you're in the same spot. I don't know why that matters. Doesn't matter. But they hosed off the roof. But I don't think this guy fucking Eli was on the show. This is probably as legit as it gets. Where did the guy on the water tower go? Cheeto said, Kimberly Cheeto said yesterday there was no one on the water tower. I know people are saying there was, but she's saying there wasn't. Where he's standing is not where the person was. Go find other videos and you can see he was further to the left of him from those windows. Oh, you mean but the you guys just saw me use my pinky nail to pick out a booger. But are you saying that's only relevant, Paige, because then the he would have been blocked by the tree from the counter snipers that we saw on TV? Is that why you're saying that? Because if that's the case, then the counter snipers were in a really dumb spot. Yes, I'm talking to the host of the Sevon podcast, for fuck's sake. I don't know. I still don't understand what you're saying. If the FBI was holding an investigation like Cheeto said, no one would be allowed near there. So, really? For 9 days? I don't know. My buddies who are firefighters, when they go like to gang scenes where there's just blood everywhere or car accidents, they hose that shit down pretty quick that night. He's talked to me nasty shit, hosing off just so much blood. I know this isn't just your regular run-of-the-mill accident, but 9 days seems a long time to leave the blood up there. Fittest auditor, they made... okay, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't think there was someone on the water tower. Go search it. There's video of someone on the water tower. No, there's not. No, there is not. I would love to be wrong. I would love to be wrong. Man on water tower. You think that's sexist to say it's a man? No, we all know it's a man. Conspiracy falsely claims there was a second shooter atop a water tower. That's CBS News. That doesn't mean shit. Man rescued from water tower after reported medical issue. Let's see. I'll type water tower. I'll type in assassination Trump water tower. Videos. Man shooters. Evidence of 2 shooters confirmed.
Videos of which I've combined highlights of here. They show 1. 3 witness reports of a second shooter at the water tower. 2.
Okay, so 3 reports, but I don't even believe that. I think you could find people to say there were people up there and they don't even know what a water tower is. They had to point it to like a building.
2. Video of man on top of the water tower.
Okay, so they're saying video of man on top of water tower, but there's no man there. I don't see any man there.
3. Audio evidence showing there were 2 weapons shooting before the Secret Service sniper eliminated the alleged lone gunman.
Okay.
4.
Audio
Timeline.
signature.
Combined videos of shooting. I urge you to especially see point 3 above and go to Chris Martinson's channel on Twitter/X.
He's trying to say something important, and then all of a sudden he mixes it with like showing like
Odyssey and Rumble.
In all fairness, we don't even know why that woman's ducking back there. Like maybe that was her job. Like I don't know what the fuck the protocol is.
And take part of the full versions of the videos.
I'm not defending the fact though you should not have a fat woman guarding the president.
No. That eyewitness reports are some of the least reliable things you can count on.
Thank you. I agree.
However, when 3 eyewitnesses give you the same thing, they all point at the grassy knoll or whatever, you can start to give it a little more credence. Let's listen in. I got 3 things for you to listen to.
First crack of the gunfire, and I just screamed, "It's the sniper! It's the sniper!" And he was firing down toward the water tower.
He was firing down towards the water tower.
Firing down toward the water tower, firing down from the water tower.
No, she said towards the water tower.
I think she meant to say, but maybe I'm interpreting too much. Listen in.
First crack of the gunfire, and I just screamed, "It's the sniper! It's the sniper!" And he was firing down toward the water tower.
That's what we're hearing.
And yeah, and then at that same exact moment, there was
Oh, it's that's a lady talking. Fuck, I thought that was a man and it was the person holding the camera who was talking. I just figured out it's that chick talking. Jesus.
a spray from the right side of the stage that I thought was some type of gas.
Mm-hmm.
Like, or not gas, but smoke. To blind,
Sure.
You know, blind up front.
That's
He
like
said
awful.
She thought the bullets were gas.
he heard it. Gunfire, hitting the hydraulic on the
Right. So they're here in agreement, like from the water tower. Now, why would they say that? There's the water tower
That's a great shot.
right there. Obviously, it's in very good position to have a clear view, a clear line of sight to Trump over here.
Trump over where? Where's Trump? How? I don't even see where Trump is.
Given how the trees are positioned. How about this one as well? I'm going to skip forward.
Sharpshooter shot to the left. He killed the gentleman in the water tower here. Now,
Sharpshooter to
Wow. Wow.
the left. Killed a gentleman in the water tower here. Very clear. Very, very clear what this woman just said.
I called my husband at home who's watching TV. He said, I thought Trump
Why doesn't someone climb up there?
hurt his ear when he went to the ground. But he said, no, on TV they showed before Trump hit the ground, the ear was bleeding. So that sharpshooter went across. Trump turned his head. His ear must have been nipped, and it killed somebody in the stands over to the left.
Don't know about
Could
that
you
either.
see anyone injured besides the blood on the former president? All I saw was the gentleman from Beaver County who spoke earlier in the day. He was running for the state house
Beaver County.
representative, Elmore. I know his name. He had a white shirt on, and I saw him come from that left stands where the people were mostly shot. I think there were several. They said 3 medevacs left here, or tried to get them help. This might not be fireworks. This might be something else. Your camera to see the exact minute, you can tell. But when he got up, he did not look bad at all. What I've heard coming, they wanted us to leave immediately because they thought there's still a shooter out there somewhere. So there could be in these woods around Butler. And I feel sad for our country. I feel sad for
Very chaotic scene. I get that. However, remember, they stood Trump up and walked him right out of there when they had no way of knowing if there was a second shooter or not. And again, a little later, I'm going to be presenting to what's a Google Earth. You know, it's a little cartoony, make any sense of the story we're supposed to believe is that our side, I mean, the good guys did not have anybody in the water tower. And listen, if you and I formed a paintball team and I gave you, you know, again, the level of incompetence that we are expected to participate.
You gotta get down, boy. You gotta get down. They're gonna shoot you. Because if they would have had like a machine gun, they could have taken us all out. So then we laid there for a while. We saw different places where the gunshots were at. And then they got
places.
President Trump down, Secret Service did, and they took him out of there and got him off of the stage. And he was bleeding. And so then my son and daughter-in-law was back behind us, back behind the fence. And we was worried about them. We couldn't call them.
Okay, hurry up.
And so we started trying to go after them then when they finally let us up.
Listen, no one gives a shit about that stuff when you're telling a story to the news. Like, no one, shut the fuck up and get to the point, please.
They had been right by the fence where the other shooter was. There was one I heard in the water tower. There was one by the fence.
One she heard about in the water tower. She didn't say she saw him.
And so we started trying to go after them then when they finally let us up. And they had been right by the fence where the other shooter was. There was one I heard in the water tower. There was one by the fence. And still, obviously,
initial reports. One in the water tower.
No, one I heard in the water tower. That's the second report. Shut the fuck up. I'm done with this douche canoe. All right. I don't want to believe there was someone in the water tower. And dude, the level of incompetence amongst just people everywhere around me. I'd like a sandwich with no cheese. Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay, how much will that be? $5.45. Okay, and no cheese, please. Yeah, no problem. We got it. Sandwich shows up with cheese. Like, dude, that's your one fucking job. And that's that. I see that shit every fucking day. We're surrounded by nincompoops. How does none of the people pointing at the guy on the roof not run screaming toward the rally to get everyone's attention while another person attacks the guy who just points and kind of yells? I was at a Starbucks one time, and we were sitting outside Starbucks in Beverly Hills. Probably should pull it up. Down by the Ivy, on the corner of this really fucking busy intersection. And I was outside there, and I was with Greg, and we were sitting outside. There were only like 2 tables outside, and there's a guy sitting at one of the tables, with a fucking knife, like that's like this long, one of those Rambo knives. And he's fucking losing his shit. He's just coming unhinged. He's talking to himself. He's swinging his knife around, and Greg and I are just like sitting there staring at him. And the tables are pretty far apart, 20 feet apart. All of a sudden, 3 cop cars pull up simultaneously and drive up on the curb. The cops jump out of their car, guns pulled, and run right past the guy into the store, run right past the guy with the knife. Now, when the cops ran in there with their guns, everyone came pouring out of the Starbucks and ran in all different directions. And I don't know what the cops said. Maybe the cops said, everyone out. But I wanted to sit there, and Greg kept saying, no, we got to go hide behind a building. Like, everyone was hiding behind the building, but I just wanted to sit there in the front row seat. I was like the girl with the camera. So I could relate to that girl with the camera. You know, the one everyone's suspicious of? I could totally relate to that. All right. I think that's it. Fun show. What is today? Oh, God, I wonder if I have any podcasts tonight. Tuesday. Oh no, Sousa has a show at 11. I ain't got nothing. Tomorrow, I don't know if we're doing an announcement tomorrow. We're supposed to do an announcement for the Wadapalooza event. Let's see. is, I don't think I can tell you who it is. That's supposed to be the premise of the show. You guys are supposed to be like, oh my God, fuck, we can't wait to find out. So tomorrow, there's supposed to be a big announcement on the Sevon podcast of, I think Talking Elite Fitness and Coffee Pods and Wads have already done it. You know, they're like, we're gonna have an announcement, and then you're watching and Danielle Brandon pops on, and then you're like, yeah, or boo, one of the two. You want to see something fucking cool? I'll show you. I don't know if you guys will think this is cool, but I fucking think this is so cool. I couldn't even believe it. So yesterday, I told my kids, hey, you guys should learn how to hold mitts for each other. And they had never done that. They had never held mitts for each other. Oh, so to finish that other story, I don't know if the athlete that's supposed to come on tomorrow has confirmed. So if he hasn't confirmed, or she, then I guess it'll just be a live call-in show. Or maybe I could ask Piran if she wants to come on from Training Think Tank. Okay, here we go. Oh, check this out. These are my 2 7-year-olds. Look at this.
Nice. You guys have it.
Dude, they've never held gloves for each other. That's the first time. That's the first time.
Nice. You guys have it.
Crazy. I'm going to have them do that every day, hold mitts for each other. It's fucking awesome. Look at, and you can see Avi in the background warming up. Look at Avi back there.
Nice. You guys have it.
Those 2 dudes can take a punch in the face too. It's pretty cool. That's like the part of the fighting that no one ever talks about. You got to be able to get punched in the face. All right. That's it. So, 11 a.m. Make sure you tune into Sousa's show. He has Seth from Jump Ship coming on today. I think it'll be a great show. Oh yeah, you saw that? The instructor wearing a Let's Go Brandon shirt. Isn't that crazy? You know what's crazy about her too? Is this is like, I mean, I live in the heart of libtard country. And she got the Let's Go. That was a really good
Nice. You guys have it.
I know, that shirt's awesome. Good head on it. Yeah, she's cool as shit. Great stories. The boys love her to death. I'm so stoked to have her in our life. All right. Talk to you guys soon. Oh, and maybe tonight I took time codes. Do you guys want to do a Kimberly Cheadle show? Like review? I did a whole, I watched all 5 hours. I don't know if I doubt you guys did. So I just took notes and time codes. And I could show you the highlights. One guy yelled at her, why don't you go back to guarding Doritos? It's like, damn. All right. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.